deciding the dates based on change in magnetic orientation stored in various artifacts. Okay, we know that Earth is like a magnet, so you have a magnetic compass which point to the north, and that Earth's axis of rotation and magnetic axis are slightly different. Okay, there is some 11-degree difference between them. But what is interesting is this magnetic pole, wherever that axis cuts and comes out of Earth's surface, that is called the actual or true magnetic North Pole. Okay, so that pole seems to be wandering around the polar region. So in different times in the history, it was at different place. Okay, and you can see that the wandering was too much. Okay, so you can see here, for example, this is Greenland. Okay, and this part is the Canada. Okay, and this is the uh, Britain coming up. This is the Siberia. Okay, you see that it is wandering into different regions. Okay, there's not much of a landmass, but there are some amount of you can clearly see some islands are there. Okay, so when people measured this, okay, it seems that this pole has been wandering in last 400 years. So if it is wandering in last 400 years, surely last 1,000 years, 10,000 years, surely it must have gone to various different places, okay, and wandered. How does that help us? Okay, so there's something called secular variation. Secular is a term used which means that it is not changing very fast. Okay, it is a slow change. So it changes in the Earth's magnetic field on a time scale of a year or more. Okay, the faster changes are called transient variation. So slower changes are called secular variation. Over hundreds of years, magnetic declination is observed to vary over tens of degrees. What is the declination? If the north pole, I mean, if the exact north, geographical north direction is in one direction and my compass is showing slightly a different angle, then the difference between the compass that shows the magnetic direction and the geographical direction, that difference is called declination. Okay. Now this declination has been varying over tens of degrees, okay, at different location over hundreds of years. Okay, so say for example, you are located somewhere in the higher latitude, okay, maybe in Russia, maybe in Siberia, or in England, or it could be in Canada. Okay, you will see very large difference between the geographical north and the magnetic north direction. Okay, and it has been found that over centuries, this difference is actually varying. The changes that predate the magnetic observatories are recorded in archaeological and geological material. This is what we will talk about. This is what we are interested in. Okay, the records typically include long period of small changes with some occasional large changes reflecting something called geomagnetic excursions and reversal. Okay, but these excursions are, I mean, the recent big excursion had happened some 40,000 years ago or so. Okay, I mean, we are, so that's a very long period. Typically, it's archaeological period, not the historical period that we talk. Okay, and that the declination lines you see are varying with the year. Okay, I mean, it's a repetitive GIF. So you see that from 17th century, 18th century, 19th century, it will come. This is 19th century. It is continuously changing. Okay. Let us see how it is used. So what archaeologists come across ancient settlement hearths. Okay, suppose you are doing an excavation and you find an ancient settlement, and then you are going to look at the ancient settlement. When you look at the hearths, are very important places. What is hearth? It's a fireplace. Okay, why fireplaces are important? Culturally also they become important because producing fire was not easy task. The matchsticks and the gas lighters are the inventions of 20th century. Producing fire was not very easy, and therefore once the fire is produced, people would try to protect it. In any kind of settlement, once there will be few people who would know how to create fire, and once a fire is created, people would try to protect that. So hearths will remain generally, the fire will continuously give lighting on, and that's where in cultural also, I mean, that part has continued in the culture. Today you have gas lighters, you have matchboxes. Even then, there are many houses where people will keep some kind of lamp continuously on. Okay, so that's an old practice. Okay, that you would keep fire on, because otherwise it was difficult to create fire, and especially in the monsoon it will be even much difficult. Okay, now these hearths were made up of clay, baked clay. What is clay? Clay is typically the soil you find close to the river banks. These clay contains a lot of iron oxides. Okay, and they tend to align, these iron oxides tend to align themselves along the Earth's magnetic field, especially when the temperature goes above 600 degrees Celsius. When temperature goes above 600 degrees Celsius, they become free. They will align themselves with Earth's magnetic field, and when the temperature will come down, they will remain there fixed. Okay, so when you are going to create a fire, you are typically creating temperature around 600 degree or higher. So whatever iron oxide, whatever iron atoms were there, those iron atoms will align themselves with the external magnetic field. And when after some time, suppose the settlement change their place. Okay, so this hearth will be extinguished. Okay, the temperature will come down, and now it is locked. Now all those iron oxide molecules, iron atoms are going to align themselves with external magnetic field, Earth's magnetic field. Now another 1,000 years, the Earth's magnetic field may change its direction slightly, but these iron atoms are not going to change their direction. They are fixed. So if an archaeologist finds this hearth and they measure the magnetic direction of that hearth and they compare that with the present magnetic direction, they will find that there is a difference. This is slightly oriented in a different direction. Now, if I have got an entire map in which year, in which direction the Earth's magnetic field was, comparing that map with the measurement of the Earth's magnetic field, measurement of the magnetic field in this hearth, one can determine when this clay had last fire. Okay, and so by carefully measuring the alignment of those clay molecules, it is possible to compare when was the last time that particular hearth was used. Again, you may say that somebody used the hearth and then probably after some time other people might have come and used that hearth. Again, the cultural practices tell us that generally that doesn't happen. Okay, people prefer to have their new hearth separately. They will not use the same old hearth if some other people might have used. Okay, and that continues in the cultural form that whenever people shift into new house, or housewarming ceremony is there. Okay, and preparing hearth. I mean, it is basically a relic of preparing new hearth. Okay, because fire was very difficult to create. So understanding cultural practices that you're going to learn in history and the scientific methods together can be used to determine such kind of old, the dates of old hearths or old settlements.